Hey everyone, we're we're back to continue part two. Okay, so I said I would watch Doug Walker's review of the Love Bug and um Cars 2 in between this episode and the last one. And Doug Walker hated Cars 2. I just want to say that. Um and also I want God, it's been so long since I saw it. I want to actually, you know what? I'm gonna show it to y'all. Uh, Doug Walker. Hopefully, I don't get like a copyright strike. Um, Love Bug. That's the one he did of the first movie. I want to see the one he did of. Okay, no, we're just gonna click on this link because the one after that. Shh. Okay, here we go. So hopefully I don't get a copyright strike if I show you the whole thing.
Okay, so I said I would talk about the sequels and remakes to a lot of these movies, and with Herbie, oh my god, there are so many. It's funny when you think of Disney and all the sequels and characters that they use that Herbie is not usually mentioned among them, but he has a ton.
Actually, let me see what it was that he took out of context. Uh, Let me see if. Okay, yeah. Okay, so this is about where it started.
So, I don't know. In all honesty, the idea only had possibility for one movie, and even then, it wasn't really that much possibility. They just kind of got lucky in how goofy it was, and how much passion they put into it. But then again, there is sort of this weird, funny charm to some of them as well, in just the idea. Again, Bruce.
Yeah, see, he was he was saying that he's like reviewing them all as a whole in this video. So he's saying like, yeah, there's a funny charm. And if y'all remember from the last video, like he skipped an entire section. Like this is where that cut starts is right here. But like he took him out of context because he's saying, yeah, here's like they're all pretty silly and goofy, and he meant that as a good thing for all of them, and like that's why they sort of work because they just kind of got lucky with how goofy it was. So like, dang it, I was good lord on during the days leading up to this I was thinking this pretty well in my head like how I was gonna say this stuff. Um, but like he didn't say and but he doesn't say that any of them are bad.
Much of a viewing. If you're gonna check them out, I'd say do it just for mere curiosity. Don't expect to get anything that great out of it. If you do have that curiosity, go and find out for yourself.
Yeah, he's just like, yeah, they're all right. Nothing great though. That's all he said, but whatever. Still, he didn't even say anything like, "Oh, cuz he's in Cars 2." He didn't even I don't think he did. But again, he said it's like a thing. Oh, only makes it's only funny if you know what Bruce Campbell did in the future. It's only funny to him. It's not really funny when it was released that way, you know. When it was released. Anyway, well, we'll start part 2 right now. Oh yeah, this is back when annotations were a thing. So I forgot about annotations, so yeah. Those don't serve any purpose anymore.
Back in the car shop the next day, we learn that business has been booming for Chuck since the big race. He
Ah,
gives Hank a
freaking
big hug before
ads!
telling
Ads! Good lord. Okay.
him that the second judge from the race had called in offering him a job.
I told him no. You did? Why, I said you'd think about it. That way I could give you a raise, and then you could turn him down.
He gets another phone call, this time from Alex, who is inquiring about a date.
You know, I'm learning a very weird lesson here.
What's that?
Everybody loves a quitter.
What? I don't, this is something I never understood about what he said. When was that a lesson that was. But he picked up racing again. He still did stuff. I don't. How is he learning that right? How is he learning that lesson? If, like, that's. If that. That doesn't make any sense to me. Only two people are giving him attention. But, whatever.
Hank and Alex prepare to go on their big night, but we also learn that this is the opening for
Oh, yeah, here's this thing that I was talking about where he's, like, shining lights everywhere because he's, like, trying to fight off ghosts or whatever. It's really stupid.
his art show. Roddy takes part in some sort of modern art shtick that involves making sculptures out of car parts. This is also the first scene where Roddy starts doing the whole crazy bit in front of Hank and Alex.
Yeah, it's very strange, and I don't see why it doesn't make Quentin uncomfortable. But whatever.
Because he's alive and he's got, do you remember feelings?
Uh-huh. Well, if that's true, then I'm...
God, he's alive, and do you remember feelings? Wow, that's. Good lord. He could sell it way better to him without, like, making him think he's insane.
I'm sure the car shares my feelings that you've gone a little psychotic.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's right. You.
Oh,
Yeah,
you.
the guy with
No,
the projector.
don't think...
No.
Also,
Yeah, with with how they start arguing, yeah, he's kind of gone a little psychotic.
quick note that I have literally seen no other Herbie movie master the art of making Herbie's honks as emotive as possible. Nearly
Oh, Herbie's honks. Yeah, if you mean by someone translates it for us, sure. You you could tell in the other movies whether he was being sad or happy or whatever. You could tell his emotion at the time. I don't see what they mean by oh, he's more emotive. It's the same amount of emotion in Herbie's honks.
as well as this one does.
He doesn't mean it. He'll come around. You know what? You come with me.
Alex and Hank stomp by Roddy's show only to see that he's placed Herbie in a room as an exhibit to project text onto.
But, come on, man.
Oh, he skipped the part where he was just shining a light on Herbie, and he was like, "Oh, oh," and then and then this is what the light was leading to, where he, like, just shines a word onto him, when, like, a screen would probably benefit better. I don't. This is a minor point. This is a minor point, but, like, it doesn't really have that. Well, actually, no, because there's no reason for Herbie to be there. There's no reason. Okay, Roddy leads this art show, which I honestly didn't know about. I forgot about that he was, like, owned it, but he brings Herbie, but for what though? Like, he's already an attraction on his own. He doesn't need words. He doesn't need to be brought over there because he can display words on him. Like, the fact that he can do a wheelie, and all he has to do is show footage of Herbie doing that, and then he's golden. Because surely that race was recorded. Well, I mean, I don't know. It was 97. Who knows? Maybe it wasn't recorded, but like, but still, that's not the reason why you bring Herbie over to just shine words on him. You could have made up an entirely different reason, which actually mm, might be a better reason to bring him over there so that the villain can take a look at him. Spoilers, by the way, but the villain shows up here and takes a look at Herbie.
Irony. It's the 90s, Hank boy.
Holy shit, this movie was ahead of its time.
What? No, it feels like it's time. Oh man. This video.
It's what had to be said.
All I can say is thank you.
It had to be said.
What had to be said? What, you actually believe them?
It says what it says.
Said what? I don't hear anything. Say what? What does it say?
Simon figured
What? Hang on, is he using Herbie to like tell prophecies or something? I never understood what that meant or what's going. The art show is so stupid. There's no point. There's no point to it. There's no reason Herbie's there. The fact that Roddy owns it. Why is he taking his girlfriend on a date to a thing that his best friend owns? Why not just to something else? Why?
out that the car is at the show and breaks in to try and investigate the inside of it. He eventually gets in a fight with Hank.
Let's drive. I got 5 speeds for you, pal.
Yeah, right. Oh, I'm quaking in my boots.
He gets kicked out, of course, but not before he steals Herbie's key and sees a plate in his hood that identifies his creator. Simon gets his lackey.
Yeah, super freaking convenient that like engraving was there, even though it's not there in any of the previous movies or later movie. But it's super convenient that that's there so that he can go find Herbie's creator. Good lord. The fact that Herbie even let the guy in him was a surprise, because Herbie knows who he is. He knows that he's not a good person. He should have locked his doors. But somehow he got into Herbie and stole his key, and then Herbie decides to hit him with the hood so that he can see who made Herbie. Oh, see, the art. I think the art show is probably the worst part of the entire movie. Just because it's just loaded with contrivances and unnecessary things and plot holes. It's definitely. I think it's the worst scene of the whole movie. I don't know. Maybe if I did an in-depth analysis of the movie, which I don't really care enough to do. But yeah.
To hunt down the man who originally created Herbie, a German mechanic who had built him in an attempt to create.
How did he hunt down a German mechanic who like started working on Herbie back in the 40s? Like, yeah, this is something that's like talked about in the movie, but like he used to be a Nazi scientist or like a Nazi car maker or whatever, and he what was I saying? He was a Nazi scientist. God, I had a point, and it's gone. He was a Nazi scientist. Oh yeah, like there's a good chance that like maybe he's dead. Maybe like how did they find him so easily? It's literally like 2 scenes between like him saying, "Go find this guy," and him coming to the office. He's like, "Here's the guy." and he was like conveniently in somewhere like, I don't know, Louisiana. I don't remember where he is.
A literal living car for the American Army after the end of the war.
They wanted me to build them their own car.
We want you to build us our own car.
This is usually the part of the film that most people like to make fun of and pick apart.
Yeah, this is super strange because all right, I'm gonna take a minute and pick apart this scene. So, the American army dudes found him, and like, okay, this guy's whole project was to make like just a nice car, just a people's car. You know, that's what he described it as, a people's car, but it was just a nice car for like a family or so, you know, just a family car. You know, nothing special to it. But for some reason, the Americans like understood it as a living car, and they were like, "Here, make. I want you to make a living car." And he's like, "Dude, there's no way to do it." And then he ends up making it anyway, which contradicts how Tennessee explained how Herbie's alive. Because I don't remember what his explanation was, but it definitely wasn't how this guy ends up making Herbie. We'll get to why he's alive in a minute, which is pretty funny.
The main problem is, of course, the uncomfortable fact that if this guy was a mechanic on the original Volkswagen project, and he's also German, that makes him a Nazi.
Well, not. I mean, yeah, sure, but like some of these people didn't have a choice. And some people don't have a choice whether or not they're a Nazi because Hitler was a dictator. So, and besides, like, we've worked with Nazi scientists before to like make the NASA project and whatnot. So like, yeah, it's not a big deal that he is or was Nazi. Whether or not he's a Nazi, it doesn't matter. He's just a dude who made Herbie. I don't see what the point is in adding this extra exposition that he's like, oh, he was recruited by the military to make a living car. Do you realize how ridiculous that is? Like, they go out of their way to find a mechanic, and they're like, make us a living car, and he's like, it's not possible, but I'll do it, and then he does it on accident. It's awesome.
Two things here. For one, I refuse to accept that Nazis even exist in the Love Bug universe. For two...
Okay, okay, whatever. If Nazis don't exist... Just because there's a nice living car doesn't mean that there weren't not bad things. Like... There's no such thing as a utopia. So, like, Hitler might have been a thing in the Herbie universe, but whatever. Doesn't really matter whether or not you refuse to believe it. It's not important.
You want to know who else was a Nazi? The previous Pope, Fanta Soda, Volkswagens in general, and the NASA...
Yeah, we know that folks... This movie basically tells us that Volkswagens are Nazi cars, but whatever.
Space program were all also created by Nazis. We're all fine with enjoying...
Not created by Nazis. Nazis helped create them. Dangus. I mean, at least NASA. But I'm pretty sure NASA wasn't made by literal Nazis, but...
Those things sometimes all at the same time. Apparently this German scientist was brought to America by these military dudes who mistranslated the People's Car Project as an attempt to create a living vehicle.
You don't see a problem with the fact that they misconstrued that as a living car, and then he's like, it's not possible. He doesn't, like, no one's made a living car before. But then he accidentally makes one anyway. Do you see how needlessly contrived that is? All he had to say was, I tried to make a car, and an accident happened, and that's how Herbie was made. Like, whether or not it retcons the previous movies, whatever. I'm gonna pretend like this is the only Herbie movie in existence for this like scene in particular. They did not need to make American they did not need to make American military dudes come in and be like, "You Nazi, make us a living car, even though it's impossible, but do it anyway on accident." All he had to say was, "I was making a car and it happened by accident." That's all. That's all you need to say. You didn't need to make it so contrived.
Optimistic and young, he decided to undertake this project for real. One day, he accidentally let an image of his late love fall into the mix and found that the car had somehow become alive after.
You don't think that's funny? You don't think you don't see how ridiculous that is? Cuz the Good lord. Oh, this also contradicts how Herbie even ends up with Jim Douglas. Because, like, he was in a car shop in, like, San Francisco or someplace, and Jim Douglas just ran into, or more like Herbie just ran into Jim Douglas, and he, like, followed him home or whatever. But, like, he's, okay, so the idea is when he knocked the picture of his lover into the pot of stew, melted oil, metal. Jesus, I can't speak. But whenever he knocked the picture in there accidentally, his love for his wife, girlfriend, I don't remember what it was, his love for her got transferred to Herbie. And that made him the love bug. This, I was okay not knowing how Herbie came to life. I was okay with that. It's so ridiculous. They didn't need to explain how Herbie's alive. It's just needed to be like a spiritual phenomenon or so. I don't know. I think whatever Tennessee's explanation was, I don't remember what it was. I'll see if I can insert a clip here. If I can't, then screw me.
What's starting to happen?
Us human beings, we had a chance to make something out of this world. We blew it. Okay, another kind of a civilization is gonna take a turn. I see things like they are. I could have told you all this was coming.
What's coming?
Jim, it's happening right under our noses and we can't see it. We take machines and we stuff them with information until they're smarter than we are. Take a car. Most guys spread more love and time and money on a car in a week than they do on their wife and kids in a year. Pretty soon, you know what? The machine starts to think it is somebody. I'm not saying that a mechanical thing, it can't be a friend. Like when I was broke one summer, there was this giant claw machine in the Sutro amusement park. And it would grab cameras and watches and drop them down a hole to me. And I would hock them and buy lunch. You follow me?
Yeah.
Contrary-wise, the traffic light down the street hates my guts. I don't know why, but in the last 6 weeks, I haven't caught anything but a stop signal. And it makes me wait 6 seconds longer than anybody else. I timed it. There's things like that happen to lots of other people, too. But the other people, they don't tell no other people because the other people would say,
They make 10,000 cars, they make them exactly the same way, and one or two of them turn out to be something special. Nobody knows why.
I know why.
But yeah, I think Tennessee's explanation of Herbie was way better than this one, which is just so stupid.
after this fact. I can see people saying that this is kind of silly, that the American government wouldn't do something this stupid, or that this backstory doesn't have any real bearing.
Yeah, it doesn't have bearing, and it's also retarded.
Herbie fans are likely to get annoyed that the story was explained in such a way.
Just movie fans in general would be annoyed by this because it's so contrived. But whatever.
And casual viewers will find this to be an odd explanation. Even I am a bit.
It's kind of Remember when he asked, "What do you guys not like about this movie?" This is one of the reasons. Is because of this stupid backstory.
Turned off by the direction of being this forward with the whole thing. But I can at least say that it's building up to something amazing. Hoping
to. Oh. No, it's not. That something is not amazing. It's actually it's pretty stupid compared to, like, what Herbie does in his other movies. Okay, so he made a comparison last video. It's with Herbie and the Three Stooges. And he said, you don't want a story of the Three Stooges where, like, an evil witch creates an evil Three Stooges and they have to fight. Okay? Of course not. Because that's not what the tone of the Three Stooges is. This, creating an evil Herbie, is not... It doesn't fit the tone of what the Herbie movies have been. It just doesn't. Excuse me.
Create his own car as a Herbie replacement, Simon asks the man to try and duplicate the process to create some sort of Herbie Mark II. And after being given every stipulation
Why in God's name do you want a living car? This didn't make sense to me. All he knew was that Herbie was different. Because it could do the wheelie and it could, like, do jumping jacks or whatever. And he's like, okay, something strange about this car. And he finds out, it's because it's alive. Wouldn't you think that a living car would be a little bit dangerous? Especially when now you know why that car wasn't working for you, but it was working for someone else. Why would you try to make another one?
asks for, he eventually agrees that he can do it and sets off on the process.
Oh my God. He didn't learn from his past mistake. He said, okay, so when he was doing when he was working for the Americans, he said, I was naive and young, so I did it even though I knew it wouldn't work. But it did work. And so here he is again, being presented with, he's being given the job to make another living car, and he's still just as naive. He's not. Yeah, no.
However, Simon secretly plans to sneak quite a few things into the mix. Hank gets visited.
How does? Okay, I remember them saying this in the movie. But, why would he sneak anything into there? All that needs is the picture to become alive. After the car gets made, they can make whatever modifications they can. Or do they not know that? They probably don't know that. But, Herbie's been fixed before. He's been fixed. He's been modified before. He's been all of these things. Something in this movie is going to contradict that. And we'll get to that. but like I don't see why he would need to mix it in with the metal if it's just gonna get melted down. And because I know he's trying to weaponize the vehicle for some reason. Because he's just evil McEvilton. He has to make a weaponized vehicle. Which I don't understand what the point of making the video weaponized. Or like making it alive if you plan to weaponize it. Because if it's alive, it could very easily rebel against you. But a car that isn't alive, that is weaponized, won't rebel against you. You are the controller. Why is he trying to make this thing alive?
By the person who wanted to offer him a job, but finds out that he's not interested in Hank as a racer, but instead wants some sort of clown car to entertain the sidelines. Hank grows angry that once again Herbie is outshining him and sends the man off before storming off himself. The German scientist calls Simon in after he has completed the project.
Dear Lord, that cut. You just go, here's the scene, and then we're gonna jump to the scene immediately. Let's watch that.
However, Simon secretly plans to sneak quite a few things into the mix.
Oh yeah, by the way, the joke here was like, he has to have a picture of someone he loves, and he's like, go find a picture of someone I love real quick. And then he comes back with a picture of himself. And I thought that was actually a really funny joke. It's probably the best part of the whole movie.
Hank gets visited by the person who wanted to offer him a job, but finds out that he's not interested in Hank as a racer, but instead wants some sort of clown car to entertain the sidelines.
Herbie isn't offended by being called a clown car. Herbie in the past has been very like sensitive about his appearance, and to be called a clown, I'm pretty sure he'd get insulted by that. But whatever.
Hank grows angry that once again Herbie is outshining him and sends the man off before storming off himself. The German scientist calls Simon in after he has completed the project, saying that it has been a horrible failure and must be destroyed. And so...
A horrible failure. Horrible failure. Hang on, let me listen to that again.
Saying that it has been a horrible failure and must be destroyed.
Okay, so... yeah. So by dumping in the one person that he loves the most, which is himself, this thing becomes Horace the Hate Bug. Which, doesn't that already contradict something? Is that the person, does he loathe himself? Is that what it is? Because with the way he's been presented, I'm pretty sure he thinks very highly of himself. It makes no sense how Horace was created. It makes no... Horace doesn't make sense. You know what? No, Horace himself is much worse than that art scene, the art museum scene. It's a lot worse. But yeah, this Horace is the biggest plot hole in the whole movie.
And so we're introduced to Horace, the Hate Bug. You see, this film decides that rather than having some sort of evil NASCAR driver or an oil tycoon or something...
Yeah, you just labeled the two worst villains in the entire Herbie franchise. The rest of them are actually pretty good, but you listed the two worst ones. So yeah. I mean, to be fair, Horace is also pretty bad because, like, everything surrounding him makes no sense. But at least, like, the fact that he's the hate bug and Herbie's the love bug actually gives them a reason to, like, rival against each other. But yeah, whatever.
That wants to, I don't know, destroy the park. The most logical...
Destroy the park? Did you miss the whole point of it? He was trying to like wreck okay, in Herbie Rides Again, villain was trying to wreck this old lady's home because he wanted to build a giant tower or something there. And that's what they were trying to stop because that was also Herbie's home. So he's like, I want to protect these cool people. So we're going to go against this corporate guy. And the NASCAR guy just wanted to beat Herbie, kind of like this guy is. Because he lost to Herbie once, and then he's like, "Oh well, there's clearly something about this car, so I have to like study it and sabotage it and whatnot." So,
To do in this Herbie sequel is instead to just make an evil Herbie. It's certainly a very corporate, strong-handed decision on the writer's part that doesn't represent the tone of the previous Herbie films very well.
yeah, yeah. It doesn't represent Herbie himself very well. Because Herbie is just a movie about a car that just is just full of love. And all it is it just should be a feel good movie. That's all it should be. It should not be about a race against good versus evil. It should not be a story about that. That's not what Herbie is. It's not what Herbie's ever been. But whatever. They gotta appeal to them kids. I say this as if this is a brand new movie. Like, it betrays the previous movies like how The Last Jedi does. But, I mean, it's pretty... I mean, I'd compare it pretty well to that. With how much it destroys the previously established lore and, the tone of the entire movies. And, yeah.
He is a little point in existence.
I will admit that shot is cool, though. But once you see Horace, you'll realize how stupid he is.
Outside of this film being convinced that this is the road that they should go in. Horace the Hay Bug is...
Yeah, what's the point of these? I don't get it. But give it a minute, because... Well, actually, no, you can see it right now. Alright? You see that there's a light behind him. There's no light shining through his windshield. And you will see why in a hot minute.
Without a doubt in my mind,
one of the greatest movie cars of all time and easily the best thing to ever come out of the Love Bug franchise.
Oh, that's a hot take, man. That's a very hot take. The greatest thing to come out of the Love Bug franchise? And what else did he compliment him as?
The road that they should go in. Horace the Hay Bug is, without a doubt in my mind,
one of the greatest movie cars of all time and easily...
The greatest movie cars of all time. I would probably give those two ranks to Herbie himself. Because not only does he make sense within the lore, not only does his character make sense and his relation to the characters make sense to a degree, except for this one. But Herbie is a much better character because we actually know who he is, what he's basically just what Herbie's about. All we know about Horace is that he hates. All right. Oh well, look at how much of a fan he is of Horace the Hate Bug. Were those there before? I don't remember if those were there before. But
the best thing to ever come out of the Love Bug franchise.
No, it isn't.
I'm serious.
Good Lord, you're so... No. Okay, so y'all see something with his headlights? What's the point of making them this round shape if you're going to cover the top half of it? And I'm assuming we'll get to see see this later, but he's got like strips going down the eyes, uh, the eyes, the headlights later. You'll see them better because like this movie was never released on DVD, so it never got to look good. But you'll see it later how like weird his headlights are and how unconventional they are.
God.
Oh yeah, you can see that right there. See, look. Um. Also like garbage '90s effects with the frowning.
Damn it, I love Horse. Horse is the Darth Vader of cars. He's a
Oh, that's not a good compare. That's not a comparison I would make. He's the Darth Vader of cars. Looks, yes, but character, no. We actually know quite a lot about Darth Vader. He was a fallen hero. He was supposed to be the chosen one. And you know, there was a bit more complexity to him besides this thing that just apparently just has unrelenting hate for whatever. I don't get what if like because Horse like hates Herbie a lot, but he doesn't really show anyone the same hate. And he seems to be cool with the humans that drive him. Like it doesn't make sense because Herbie just loves people, the people he's around. But like Horace is hates cars that he's around. It's such a strange reversal of roles. They should have made Horace someone who just attacks people, but I guess that would be ripping off of Christine, now wouldn't it? But like it doesn't make sense. Like Horace's anything. Horace doesn't make sense.
amazing. His design is flawless. He nearly
Flawless. Flawless. You didn't. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can show that to you again. But okay, the headlights are first of all look stupid. His bumpers look like they're made out of rubber. And if we can see, look at that. Look at this. Flawless, huh? You can't see anything. You can't see anything. There, you can't merge off of a ramp to get onto the interstate or anything. You can't do that with this car. Heck, he built this car to race, but he's not going to be able to see anybody behind him. Because you'll see later that his rear window doesn't even it like barely lets him see through. It like looks like his headlights, kind of the rear window, which I mean is better than this, but it's still not that great, and it's not even a big window. Like the window is still covered by like the blackness, but like it's got like a little small square that has those strips going down it. But I hope you will say that, because like while the design, yes, looks cool, it is not conventional, and it's stupid. It does not look good. It's not no. His design is not flawless, because if I can say that you cannot drive with this car, then no, its design is not flawless.
he nearly comes alive whenever he's on screen.
Yeah, a lot more alive than Herbie, surprisingly. Because this guy does a lot of moving around, he has a face that moves. But Herbie likes to sit there and do nothing for the majority of the scene. Like, we're at like the 70% mark of this movie. Like 70% of the way through the movie. And the most significant things that Herbie has done were in the first 20 minutes. We're like, I want to say at like an hour, out of an hour and a half, I want to say. I don't remember when Horace comes around. But Yeah, it's he's certainly more lively than Herbie because he moves around even if he's in one spot. Herbie just honks and stuff and maybe flashes his light once or twice, but he doesn't move while he's sitting in the garage. Like Herbie moved around while he was parked outside the like a bunch of cars were like he was like playing with a bunch of cars one morning in the first Love Bug movie. He was just playing around with dogs, just driving around while everyone else was asleep. And then Tennessee like walks out the door and he's like, "Dude, you gotta stop," because like Jim still doesn't know you're alive, and it could like shock him like hugely. It could like, yeah. Anyway, yeah, it's just Herbie did more in the previous movies. That's what I'm saying. Herbie did more in the previous movies, but in this one, Horace is doing more.
Arguably more than Herbie ever did.
Yeah, in this movie. In this movie. And it also helps that Horace like has a face that moves around.
I'm actually fascinated so much by this little car. It's something that boils down not just to being a kid and wanting to pick your favorite superhero, but also by the interests in art as an adult. Consider this.
Okay, the thing about art is that sometimes it has to make sense. And the horse doesn't make sense. So yeah.
For instance, the 3D effects that involve Horace are much more convincing than any that involve Herbie.
I don't know. I think that the ones in that wheelie race was a lot better than this thing.
Because Horace is nearly specifically designed to fit within the two
that looked terrible.
looks that 3D could pull off back then. Rubber and glossy. On that note, as a literal car that I would actually need to drive, I think...
Yeah, do you see that? Do you see that? Do you think you could drive this car? If you could only see outside of that little space.
I might want to pass on Horace. I mean, look at him. He must be impossible to control.
Yeah, and you said his design was flawless. Moron. You've never driven a car.
You see, the original Volkswagen Beetle holds a series of blind spots that cause trouble when driving the vehicle. But the people behind this movie looked at all that, studied it closely, and said,
I can fix this.
Good joke, but it's taking it a while to get through. It's I'm not gonna lie, it's a pretty good joke, but like you said its design was flawless and yet you're criticizing it now.
There. Now it's fixed.
Hank comes home to the shop.
Yeah. Still, I'm not gonna deny. Good joke. But no. If it was told by someone else who didn't say his design was flawless, maybe I would have laughed. But, yeah.
To find Herbie gone. He tries to get Roddy to admit where he took it, but Roddy insists that Herbie went out on his own.
Good God, that face. Good God. I've already said this last video, but like, good God, that face.
Nobody would believe I made the car do what it did because he did it.
That's so stupid that everyone's all like, oh, that car did it. Nothing to do with you, even though I have no idea that Herbie's even alive. Yeah, we're gonna give all the credit to Herbie. Good Lord, the insanity of this plot. It's so bad. It's so Who wrote this? Who wrote this? Who Okay, I don't care. I'm not gonna Google it right now. It's yeah, no. Good lord. Who wrote this crap?
Herbie hunts for Hank and Hank hunts for Herbie.
Oh, did he? I thought Herbie ran away. Like in the first movie. Also, like he skipped an entire scene where Hank just. Oh no, that he did see that scene. He did show that scene. Okay, never mind. Where like Hank storms off and then like. But like I love that Herbie left the garage off screen. They couldn't show him leaving.
Now, in the original 60s film, this was a crushing scene, but at least it ended with our pals together.
Yeah, so does this one. Like, okay, in the first one, yeah, Herbie was heartbroken because Jim just called him a crappy old car. And then when they told him, dude, Herbie's alive, he took offense to that and he's like, oh crap, maybe I should make it up to him. And then like Herbie's just gone. And they're like, oh crap. Like, okay, they didn't show him leaving on screen there because that added to the weight of like Jim just messed up. And this is just like, oh, Herbie just went to go look for Hank, who was upset by something else. It's got a lot less weight to it. So, yeah. Oh, and here comes, honestly, I don't know if this is my favorite scene or not, but, because it's got the best acting, because it's got the only two good actors in the entire movie. Sorry. And they do a cool little bit. This.
Not in this movie.
Yes, in this movie, because a Deus Ex Machina happens and the day is saved. But we'll get to that later. Oh hey, there's Horace, because he hates Herbie for some reason even though he's never met him. By the way, this is the third time that, well no, maybe fourth time that Herbie's done anything remarkable. Like drive on his own. He hasn't driven on his own with like nobody in him the whole movie. Just letting you know that. The original ones did that a lot where he just moved around without anyone driving him. Just pointing that out.
Sorry, little car. It's the end of the road.
Unfortunately, they don't show this. Oh, God. Why do you have to do this stupid react thing? You don't see anything! They're not showing anything! Right, this is the best scene. This is the best scene, alright? I want everybody to just shut up. This is the best scene. Including you, Quinton. If you say anything during this scene, I will smite you. Dude, I can't... Dude, stop. Stop.
You'll be okay. We'll fix you up. Hang on, buddy.
So,
Oh my god, really? Really? Come on. You shouldn't have. All you had to do was speak quietly, just be like, this is the best scene in the whole movie. That's all you had to do. You didn't have to do a stupid gag. Oh, man. I was enjoying watching that so much. Okay, as much crap as I give this movie, that's the best scene in the entire Love Bug franchise. Not even gonna lie. So, I mean, at least, at least we can agree that, like, something good came out of this movie. But I loved that scene. I mean, to be fair, it wouldn't exist without Horace and his stupidity. But, like, the scene without context, really good. Because they just had Herbie honking, lights flickering, and sorry, I can't. Sorry, I can't. I couldn't think straight when seeing Herbie being put in a box to be buried. Also, like, the fact that Herbie can be killed. Oh, that's great. Anyway, what was I saying? But yeah, that scene, really good. It's just, like, Bruce Campbell's acting shining as a beacon of light throughout the entire movie. Especially for that scene. Best scene in the whole movie. 10 out of 10. Except that I would give it a 1 out of 10 with the context, because it's really stupid. But without context, great scene. With context, pretty dumb.
he straight up dies, and they hold a funeral in his honor.
Yeah, I know, it's funny, isn't it? They give a car a funeral. I just like the idea that they, not only after he was beaten down by Horace, but they disassembled him even more so that he would fit in the box. They defiled Herbie's corpse so that they could put him in a box so that they could bury a car. It's the best joke in the whole movie. I just love that it's like this serious scene and then it's immediately followed by this. I shouldn't be laughing at this. And that's the problem, is that it's so ridiculous that it makes me laugh. That's the problem with this movie.
I mean, I knew this film was gonna go dark, but I didn't think it was gonna turn into a murder-revenge flick halfway through.
Now, I just realized how low the volume is. I'm gonna turn it up a little bit so that y'all can hear them better. Okay, what did he say? I don't remember what he said.
He straight up dies, and they hold a funeral in his honor.
I mean, I knew this film was gonna go dark, but I didn't think it was...
You knew that it was gonna go dark? What were you expecting out of a movie called The Love Bug if you knew it was gonna be dark? What? Quinton, you need better brain. You need better brain.
It was gonna turn into a murder-revenge flick halfway through.
I'm Jim Douglas.
How did they find him? How did they find Jim Douglas so that he contact him so that he knew that Herbie's dead, and then he came along with the guy who made him? How did the guy who made him know? How did they know that Herbie's dead? How did they know? Oh, remember how like he said that they address plot holes? I don't think they even touched this.
I was a friend of Herbie's. I think we need to talk.
We need to talk. What a... Good lord. Okay. I think we need to talk. Of course you would. You're at the dude's funeral. That's why you're there, aren't you? You're all there for the same reason? Usually, whenever you meet someone at a funeral that you've never seen before, you start talking. And go like, okay, how did you know this guy? How did you know this person? Were they cool to you? Were they cool to you? Were they mean to you? Like what reason did you come here? And then you share your experiences with the person and you reminisce about the good old times when they were around. Of course they're going to talk. What a stupid line.
This is Jim Douglas, a name you may recognize as being mentioned multiple times throughout the film as...
Just a couple. Just not really yeah, it's just a couple times, like in the beginning. Yeah, just the beginning. It was just once in the narration and once by the lunatic guy. Not the lunatic guy, but the guy that was following the evil lunatic.
The original owner of Herbie. In other words, he was the main protagonist throughout most of the original Herbie films and the short-lived TV show.
Oh yeah, there was a TV show. I forgot about that.
Of course, being played by the same actor.
He was also in the third movie. I don't know if he said that, but he was also in the third movie.
Douglas's role in this film is basically to bridge the gap between the original films and this half reboot, half sequel. He literally
It's a soft reboot, dude. Just call it a soft reboot.
Passes the keys to the franchise along, and it serves as a lovely moment to bring him in again. Basically...
I mean, I guess so, but like... Hey, look! He just spoiled what happens. Herbie comes back, surprisingly. Who could have seen that coming in a movie called The Love Bug? Of course he comes back.
What I'm trying to say is that while some...
So, like, you know, when I said, like, whatever. Y'all know what I said.
Sony apparently still doesn't know how to make a reboot. Disney...
It's not a reboot. Okay, the Ghostbusters movie is not a reboot. It's a remake. And, oh boy. Wide eyes, open mouth. Ray. Oh my god. Is he about to call this a good soft reboot?
They figured it out a very long time ago.
They figured it out a long time ago. No, they didn't. They did not figure out soft reboots. This is not a good example of one of their soft reboots, much less The Force Awakens.
Douglas says that it should be possible to rebuild Herbie and have him good as new. Some people might argue that this, as a possibility, removes all connection to Herbie as anything mortal or comparable to humans, but...
well... It kind of does, but it also kind of removes any stakes from the whole anything. It removes the stakes that Herbie even has.
But I would argue that Herbie is a car.
Yeah, but like it's a living car, and everything that is alive dies eventually. So
that's an interesting idea. But consider this.
An interesting idea. It's to resurrect a dead character. Yeah, that's never been thought of before.
In replacing most of the parts on the car, is it still the same car? Or is it just a new car that you...
He's doing that same setup. He's doing that same setup again. He's not asking, oh, how does this bring him back to life? All he's asking... Okay, so Jim Douglas somehow figures this out. I don't know how he knows this, but it contradicts the past lore. But he's like, oh, if we rebuild Herbie exactly the same way, then he'll come back. If he's built in exactly the same way that he was when he died. Okay? Because otherwise, it's not going to be Herbie. It's going to be a completely different car, or it's just not going to be alive. Okay? So, don't ask me how Jim Douglas figures this out, much less the guy who made him, because they've never dealt with this sort of thing before. But, Jim has made modifications to Herbie before. So, like, I don't... This contradicts... That contradicts the first movie. So, yeah. Good lord. That face. That, yeah. Nope.
You're calling the same name. It's an interesting thing to consider.
Unless we make the new...
He's doing this. It's so annoying that he... It's so annoying that he does this. He scripted this. You don't say... You just... All you have to say is that I thought this when they were explaining it. Or I thought this just before they were explaining it. He doesn't need to set it up as like, here's me saying it, and then here's the movie answering the question. Which is different from the first time he did it. Because the first time he did it, it didn't answer his question. But this one it's going to. Which definitely contradicts the lore, but whatever. This is the 1997 Love Bug remake. Do you expect anything to be consistent?
Car entirely from the old. It won't be Herbie.
Entirely from the old. So does that mean pre-modifications or when he died? Because if that's the case, then they need to make him in his broken form. Like, that raises... Like, it's so... He doesn't... I mean, we know what the answer is. Because that's the one that ends up working. Which is that, oh, he just rebuilt him to be a car that works with the same parts. That's all you have to do. Don't make him into the jumbled up mess that he was. Also, like, Herbie's been cut in half before. And he still survived that. He didn't die from being cut in half. So, like, what is it that kills Herbie? Is it the engine? Because I don't think the engine controls the lights and the locks and the tires. Is the no, it doesn't. It doesn't have anything to do with those things. The engine can't be the brain. It can't be the steering wheel either, because when he got cut in half in the first movie, the back half was actually going faster than the front half. Because, you know, there was an engine in there, and it was... Well, no, it shouldn't even be the engine. They were... God, how is it going faster than... I mean, to be fair, Herbie was controlling it, so, like, he didn't really have to step on the gas. Because, you know, Herbie's a magical car that can control every part of him. But, like, he was cut in half. Why does this thrashing be the one that kills Herbie? Why is that the thing that does it? And does he really die if when he's rebuilt, he's just back to normal? Did he really die, or is he just immortal? That's the question I have to ask. Those are the real questions you should be asking, Quinton. Not the question that literally gets answered because you scripted it. And by the way, he said that this happened a lot when he first did this, but this is the second time it's happened so far.
Oh yeah, any non-original parts.
How do they know this? How do they know this? They've never dealt with Herbie dying before. Herbie and Horace are the only two living cars. Because, I mean, this contradicts, like, the second movie and I think the third one, yeah, it contradicts the third one as well. Because there were living cars in those ones too. There weren't. Heck, in the second one, there was a living jukebox. I think it was a jukebox, or it was like a '70s sort of music thing. I don't remember what it is, but like it's not strictly related to cars, and this movie ignores continuity anyway. So like, I mean, I don't see what the point is in saying anything anymore. Like this movie is so much better if you pretend that it doesn't exist. If it exists outside of the established universe.
To lose his vital essence.
A vital essence? What does that mean? God, Quentin, could you not do these stupid camera mugs? They make me feel uncomfortable with all these weird faces that you put on.
Stop being good at everything, movie.
No, it's not good at everything. No, you criticized Horace's design even though you said it was flawless. You criticized it for being impossible to drive. But you're saying it's good at everything. Except for, the writing and the design of Horace and the characters' motivations and all. Yeah. Except for all that, and the CG kind of looks bad, but whatever.
As a kid, I would be quick to point out that this film's logic that the entire frame must be melted down in order for Herbie to still be Herbie contradicts scenes in other films where certain parts are entirely taken.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! He's actually pointing it out. So stop calling this movie perfect. What did he call it? Great at everything?
Stop being good at everything, movie.
Good at everything. Yeah. Okay.
As a kid, I would be quick to point out that this film's logic that the entire frame must be melted down in order for Herbie to still be Herbie contradicts scenes in other films where certain parts are entirely taken off and replaced. But in the film, it is also stated that just Herbie's key is enough to make Horace. So evidently, as long as some of the mold is still in there, it doesn't matter.
But that contradicts what they just said.
Damn it, even the problems with this movie that I knew about when I was a kid don't hold water.
Hang on, what? What is...
Make Horace. So evidently, as long as some of the mold is still in there, it doesn't matter. Damn it, even the problems with this movie that I knew about when I was a kid don't hold water. They need to be able to remake these parts from scratch. So Hank goes up to the second judge.
What? So, hang on. What? So, he's... See, this precisely breaks the lore, then. You just said that only a piece of Herbie could work. But like, the movie said all of Herbie. And his key is missing. I don't know if anyone has noticed that yet. But Herbie's key is missing. And I think they actually materialize one out of thin air. And I guess the key is a piece of him, apparently. Which gets melted down later. Which would need to be replaced. Which means that Herbie isn't the same car anymore. Oh man. Good lord, there's so many things wrong with the lore in this movie. There's so many things wrong with it. They can't get their rules right. Herbie is broken. Fix it.
Judge, who of course has the capabilities to do this. To pay for this, he has to give up his racing money, and the work on the car can finally continue.
Okay, well at least that's worth it. So save a life. Jesus, money isn't a big deal when you're whatever.
Hey, look, I'm sorry about
I think it's perfectly reasonable to be able to like melt down car parts and then rebuild them from scratch. I don't know how much money he got from that race, but I'm assuming it's high if like the dude's willing to allow all that stuff to happen.
cars too. Maybe tomorrow. No charge. We're doing something important here. Or at least I think it's important.
I've been glossing over.
That guy doesn't. I just realized that that guy is the only one who doesn't know that Herbie's. He attended the funeral. He attended the funeral. Oh man.
Over Chuck so far in this review, but I think it's notable to bring him up. Even when it's just a side character who dumps exposition, I feel like he's
It's dumping exposition. Oh, so now you refer to that scene as that. Except when you don't.
done amazingly well. Not only do you get a couple of moments like this where you feel like he actually kind of gives a shit, but he also
He kind of he doesn't know whether or not he should though. Because he says he thinks it's important. He's not quite sure if it is or not, but it seems important to them, so he lets them. Like, it's impossible. It's. I don't think anyone can say whether or not, for sure, he does care about Herbie, because he doesn't know that Herbie's alive based on that line.
get some of the best lines in the movie.
Go, Herbie! Go! Go! They're all gonna die.
Oh, yeah, that was the best line in the whole movie. That line is actually one of the worst ones. Just 'cause they're all gonna die. Good lord. And yet, he sets up a finish line, and he, like, has, like, a celebration party at the very end. Oh, man. Yeah, that's definitely a really bad line because it contradicts things that happen later.
Fun fact, did you know that guy was in an episode of Twin Peaks around the same time? Hilarious, right?
Oh yeah, it's almost as funny as Bruce Campbell talking to Herbie. Yeah, it's funny that this guy who was in another show is in this movie. It's funny. It's so funny.
It's showtime.
I said you think it's judgment. Well, that call. He says
Why is he doing this? This doesn't make sense. Like, usually people will do this if it's, like, something that's, like, bad, but he's, like, praising this character, so I don't understand why he's doing that.
I think they call that spinning out.
Another side character, obviously, is the second judge, who is meant to be a threatening figure. And with his...
Is he? He looks very, like, not... He looks very relaxed and not at all threatening. He's just a dude who, like, makes cars or something. I don't see why he's... Did you say non-threatening or threatening?
I think they call that spinning out.
Another side character, obviously, is the second judge, who is meant to be a threatening figure.
Threatening, he said. Threatening? What about his character is threatening? Alright, fine. Fine. Use your stupid logic. Stupid logic that doesn't make any sense.
And with his dated 80s jacket, miniature ponytail, and constantly unlit cigar, I keep feeling like this shouldn't be convincing and should in fact annoy me quite a bit, but...
Hang on, he's saying that it shouldn't... What is...
80s jacket, miniature ponytail, and constantly unlit cigar, I keep feeling like this shouldn't be convincing and shouldn't.
It's not convincing that. Of course, it's not convincing that he's threatening. He's not threatening at all. What are you talking about?
In fact, annoy me quite a bit, but I don't know. It kind of works for me.
Oh, you say that about like everything. I don't know. It kind of works for me. Yep, he's willing to let. Why are you? Why are you? Why are you? What do you mean it works for you? What works? What about his character was supposed to be threatening? Are you saying that it seems threatening to you? Because his character doesn't seem threatening at all. He's just a dude who, like, makes cars. I don't get it. Somehow it works for you. What does that mean? What does that mean? I guess we'll continue. I guess so. We're halfway through, by the way. Woohoo! We're halfway through. We've gone on for an hour and 20 minutes. That's cool.
Maybe this is just definitive proof that my nostalgia is blocking my basic senses here, but I've...
Oh, finally he admits it. I was just calling it stupidity, but sure, if it's just your nostalgia blinding you, fine. Fine, call it what you want, but it's still ignoring blatant problems with the movie.
I feel like this film just keeps doing things that shouldn't work, and yet the dedication of the actors to their parts make it all work out somehow in the end.
Even if it... Whatever.
Like, if this dude wasn't totally into this role, if he didn't have just the right amount of swagger in his walk, this would be so goddamn stupid. But what can I say? I'm convinced.
And for our third...
Convinced about what? Convinced that his character is a thing? Or convinced that he's supposed to be threatening? I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get what you're saying. I don't get it.
Third and final side character that I'm going to discuss, I'm going to bring up the character of Rupert. Rupert is the assistant of the main villain, Simon.
He's also, like, one of the better characters in the entire movie. Because he doesn't say that much.
Moy the Third. What I like about him is that he has this consistent look on his face, as if he's constantly considering how he ended up where he is. How did I end up here, man? Looking for more evil Scrooge McDuck.
Jim Douglas is...
Alright, that's, I guess it's alright, joke. It's poorly delivered because you repeated the same thing twice, but whatever.
Absolutely spectacular in this film. Dean Jones has one of those voices that you just want to listen to for hours on end. I would listen to that man read the damn phone book. He was that...
Yeah, his voice is pretty nice. Yeah. I guess this is actor complimenting time, so... I guess that's what we're doing now.
Amazing.
Oh, he was everything we'd like ourselves to be. Loyal, giving, pure.
Well, I wish I had that figured out before this happened.
He'd understand. That's probably what he's best at, understanding.
Interesting tidbit. The best I can figure, this film is a sequel to the original film from the 60s. I mean, obviously, right? But it also sort of ignores the canon of every other Herbie movie released up to that point.
Yeah, you don't see a problem with that. You don't see a problem with the fact that it contradicts every previous movie? Alright, fine.
For instance, Herbie has that whole specific backstory that explains why he's alive, but in other films it's been suggested that all Volkswagens are alive, but Herbie's just the only one that's vocal about it. Also,
There's also like some other cars that are alive, and there's one other one in Herbie Goes to Monte Carlo, and there's a jukebox and a trolley car in Herbie Rides Again. And there's also another living car in what's it called? What's that one called? Herbie Fully Loaded. There's another living car which doesn't reveal herself as living until like the very end, which like came out of nowhere. Which I guess is which isn't really explained. But she's also a beetle, so I guess that. But she's like one of the newer Beatles, though, because that movie came out in 2005, so it's not exactly the same Beatle as Herbie. But he's also ignoring the story that Tennessee gave about why Herbie's alive. But whatever, I guess we'll ignore that.
Also, Douglas references events of the first film as, quote,
I met my wife.
Which is odd, as further films would...
Yeah. I mean, you say further films, but it was more like further film. But yeah, this movie likes to ignore pretty much every Herbie movie. So yeah.
Go on to show Jim single, as if the marriage hadn't lasted, and in the spin-off series, he marries a different woman entirely. So after days and days of work...
Yeah. You don't have anything to say about that? You're not going to count that as a point against the movie? You're not going to use that to you're not going to use that to explain why you don't... You said it at the very beginning of this movie that you've gone through it and you've tried to understand, and you couldn't figure out what it is that people don't like about this movie. Those were your exact words. What do you guys not like about this movie? That is one of the reasons, is because it contradicts every previous movie. Except for, ironically, Herbie Goes Bananas, I think. Yeah, I think that's the only one it doesn't contradict.
During which time Hank straight up doesn't sleep.
Also, like, if he said that's how I met my wife, it could have been just... Actually, no, he should have said ex-wife then. Okay.
Herbie is back together again. And so Herbie is resurrected.
Wow, how convenient! You're not gonna count that as a point against it?
And if my 3.5-month course on film taught me anything, this means that Herbie is now a Christ figure. Alright, let's check this.
You don't see a problem with that? You don't see a problem with Herbie being immortal? You don't see a problem with zero stakes? They created this false tension where, like, oh, Herbie's dead, but then, like, he gets revived because Jim Douglas showed up and he somehow knew that Herbie could be revived. So, yeah.
Miracle birth, check. Performs miracles, 3 checks. Breaks rules, checks. Dies and is resurrected. Yeah, this is all looking good. Yeah, we can go ahead and give this one the roof of approval. Meanwhile...
Hang on, what is that he showed? What did it say? Roof of approval. Quinton, thanks again for your help the other day. I was really impressed by the Herbie review. You have a good reviewer's voice and presence. I like the intro bit too. I do, however, think you must shorten these if you want more viewership. People just don't have that attention span on YouTube. Of course, I could be wrong, but it's worth considering. Love the inclusion of old and related clips. It's all very sophisticated. Who's Dan Roof? Okay. But his videos actually aren't that long. So let me look up who is Dan Roof. I'm assuming that means he's an important character person. All I'm seeing is that guy. Like, I don't want to click on a Facebook thing, but oh, there's never mind. Never mind.
Meanwhile, back at the lair of the villains, Simon decides he needs to take Horace out for a ride. While on the road, the two see that Herbie has been put back together. Wanting to settle the score once and for all, he challenges them to a final race to decide the fate of the two cars.
He's wearing all black in case you didn't know he was evil.
You make it sound like a duel.
By the way, this is like the second race that happens in this movie about a race car. Just letting y'all know that. There were a lot of races in the first Love Bug and Monte Carlo and Herbie Rides Again. There's all of the movies that have races that are about racing are like much, they have more than this one movie does.
And so we are...
He slapped him. My gosh. Also, like, they took the time to make brand new jumpsuits to match Herbie's design. Right. They even got name tags. What the heck?
Quickly catapulted into the third act of the film, as the two cars meet up for their...
Yeah, it's incredibly quick, and man, that car is like going too fast. It needs to start braking.
Final showdown. There's a long scene where the two main characters monologue to each other.
They didn't have an actual car. That was CG. Hang on a minute. That was
their final showdown.
That is CG. They don't have an actual... Oh, goodness. They didn't have an actual car for it.
There's a long scene where the two main characters monologue to each other, discussing the complex backgrounds and intricacies of their relationships.
Yeah, it would be much nicer if we, like, you know, knew this already and didn't have it monologue to us, because, like, that's... We don't need things spelled out for us. But whatever, it's a children's movie, remember? That means it's devoid of all criticism.
It is done surprisingly straight, I might add. I mean, you'd think that a drag race between two cars not designed to go over 70 miles per hour would be a little bit silly. But no, this was taken absolutely, totally straight. As if this moment is the...
Well, yeah, because they're alive and one of them is evil, so, like, you know, and one of them might die. So, yeah, this guy, it's a little bit serious. There's a reason to be serious.
Most important thing that humanity would ever set eyes on. I also note that Horace does the thing where his eyes and bumper bend like he's making a face, and it doesn't look...
Yeah, it does look bad. Don't even say that it doesn't look bad.
Look like horse shit, like it does in the next movie. And
that doesn't look nearly as bad as what you just showed. And you only showed like half a second clip. You could have shown me one of the worst ones that were in like the NASCAR race that looked dreadful. You could have shown that one instead of the one that, you know, actually looked a little bit better than the horse one.
And so they're off. And while the race initially looks as if it's going to be a simple game of back and forth...
Oh my god, is he really doing the stupid commentator thing? Oh yeah, I did say that he's weaponized Horace, so like he's only got 3 mods. He calls them modifications, which he should just... Why does he say modification number 1, number 2, number 3? He should just say, activate the spike thing. That's all he had to do.
Herbie's ahead, horses ahead, etc., etc. Simon eventually apparently gets bored and decides to reveal that Horace is actually a James Bond car.
Yeah, that's ridiculous compared to... That's so stupid. They're taking Herbie so seriously. If y'all have seen the original Love Bug and how goofy the final race was, that's what Herbie was about. Was about the stuff like that. It's so bizarre to see that in a Herbie movie.
Hey, what is it, Roddy? Hey, what?
Just say that he's got a thing. Dear Lord, you've taken his eyes off the road now, and now they're gonna crash. All he had to say was, dude, he's got a spike thing. You need to speed up or slow down or something. Evasive maneuvers, as they would say in Star Trek.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
Yeah, I know. It's ridiculous. I feel like I've said it's ridiculous like 15 times in this video.
Back off! Back off!
Oh, come on. Like, they're gonna be scared of you.
This is where we say ciao.
Hang on, he said Chow, but he's Scottish, I think, or Irish. I don't know. He's not Italian. Chow is Italian, I'm pretty sure.
Hank briefly considers staying out of the race because he's worried about the Horace team trying to kill Herbie. We also get
Yeah, but during this scene, like, Horace has already won, basically. He should have already won. I don't know how they even catch up to Horace, but whatever. This movie's stupid.
this brief line, which again is almost the most painful scene in the movie.
So this is where I give the big Susie cheerleader speech.
The most painful part of the movie. No. No, 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 no. No, that's not the most painful part of the movie is when, like, Hank accuses Roddy of being insane, and he just starts acting insane, whilst, as if that proves that he isn't insane. That's the worst part of this movie, not this. I mean, it's incredibly cringy, and redundant, and completely pointless, but yeah.
Be the rah-rah adoring female, huh? Oh no, Hank! You have to go on. I believe in you, Hank. You can do it, Hank.
Yeah, sure, feminism, yeah, 90s. So
Alright, fine. Also, like, Alright, so some car expert needs to tell me. They fill up the spare tire with spray paint. That's what I'm pretty sure that's spray paint, unless I'm remembering wrong, but I remember it being stupid. Some car expert tell me if that doesn't royally screw up the tire, or if it's like it's just I don't think it should work. I don't think that should.
So they get the spare on and they decide to get Hurley back into the race. At this point, I'd like to appreciate the directing in not only this scene, but the entire film itself. Not only does the fluid editing and camera work help make for a more believable world environment.
What? What are you bringing this point in for? What point are you trying to make?
But of course, without good directing, the acting wouldn't be nearly as on par as it is to have the entire film. The director seems...
It's kind of bad.
to do a few films every couple of years. Most recently, he directed the 2015 Marvel film Ant-Man.
Oh, that explains why this movie is so bad. Because he made Ant-Man, which is one of the less good. It's one of the more mediocre Marvel movies, I guess I should say.
Which I actually got to see in the theaters. Most people say that it was sort of lackluster, but I actually got a lot out of it. It was a fun, entertaining standalone film to me, and I appreciate...
Yep, that's all that movie was. Fun, standalone, entertaining. Yeah.
How it did things that other films probably wouldn't. Like it or not, you have to admit that the direction and the choreography was amazing and very well done. So
I would have preferred if Edgar Wright had directed Ant-Man like he was going to, but they had to but they changed directors for whatever reason and gave the job to the guy who made the Love Bug.
Back to 1997, the Horus team sees that Herbie has finally caught up to them. And
how do they see him? He's got big headlights. They could have just passed him, and they wouldn't have found out until they were neck and neck. Because then he wouldn't be able to pull out this next weapon.
Simon is all like, well, if I can't cheat to keep them out of the race, I might as well fucking kill them.
Yeah, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. No, this isn't a Herbie movie. This is retarded.
What the? Grenades!
It's such an odd tonal shift to have the main villain just openly...
Yeah, I know. Why aren't you... Why... never mind. You're gonna say, oh, but it somehow works. Yeah, that's what you're gonna say. It somehow works for you.
Trying to murder the main characters all of a sudden. But honestly, I think it kind of works if you're already this...
He said it! Yes! Oh, man. How did I know? How did I know? How did I know he would say, oh, but it kind of works? How did I know he would say that? Oh. Quinton, you make good content.
Far into the film's take on the world. I mean, Simon is a very intelligent, self-aware...
Is he intelligent and self-aware? Is he? Because if he was self-aware, he would have noticed that what he's doing is... Well, he would have noticed that, there's no reason to fret about a stupid car, and that he shouldn't be trying to kill people just to win in a stupid race.
Educated, crazy person. When he gets his demonically possessed Satan-mobile, of course he's gonna want to kill everyone. I know you all love a good nitpick, though, so I'm just gonna leave the question in your minds of what the horse engine might look like if there's just a hole in the middle of it where this grenade thing can pop out. The Herbie team obviously freaks out.
Huh. Yeah, his design is flawless except for the fact that he has grenades stored right next to his engine. Really smart. Really smart. Really smart. Flawless design.
About all this, and Roddy comes out with the most articulate and brilliant speech ever spoken by man.
Of course! Don't you get it? He has to get rid of her.
Oh yeah, this is stupid.
This isn't just a road race to him, it's a duel between good and evil, love and hate. And as long as love is around, hate can never rule. But if hate were to win...
Oh, it's a stupid race! It's a stupid race! Why is he making this out to be some Star Wars crap? This character is insane. Why are they treating him like he's normal? I hate him. I hate him.
We have to beat him, that's all!
What the fuck?
Oh, so you said that's the greatest speech ever said, but now you're saying what the heck?
Lucky you talking about. Man, I thought this was going to be one of those light can't exist without darkness speeches, but no.
No, it's not. It's the typical the light has to win.
Ooh, that went to some crazy fucking places. I wish I was in this guy's mind right now.
He just said that the good guys have to win. That's all he said. Good lord. Oh, it's so complex and so deep. I wish I was inside his head so that I could understood what he meant by the good guys have to win.
Because he looks like he knows what he's talking about. Like this is all
Yeah, I know what he's talking about, and it's retarded. Am I allowed to say that? I don't know if I'm. If this video gets taken down, I'll know that I can't say that. So I'll just find some way to bleep it out.
Forming some sort of amazing mental image of a dystopian future where evil has won because of this race, and there is no good. Like, what the hell happens if evil wins? Tell me, Roddy, please.
Then the world ends, you dangus.
I want to know. Herbie eventually manages to pull.
So you're playing these clips as just to make fun of the character, but like you find that you're okay with the character though, which is bizarre to me. It's bizarre.
Ahead, but at that moment, Horace's final modification is revealed as a laser.
This is okay. This is pretty dumb. Here we go. You ready? You ready?
Beam cuts the freaking car in half.
Yeah, and Herbie isn't dead for some reason, despite the fact that he died earlier just from getting a bunch of dents and whatever.
Horace passes through. I really appreciate the practical effects in this scene. Sure, I knew how they did each and every single one of them, but it's still neat. Horace passes through Herbie, but Simon is distracted by Alex for a long enough period of time that the right side of Herbie can pass along ahead.
Oh my god. How is he staying balanced? Okay, so the first movie actually made a little bit more sense because it was the front was separated from the back, not the left was separated from the right. There should be no reason Herbie's able to balance, and if Chick is distracting evil guy, then who's distracting the guy in the passenger seat so that they can't see what's going? He even showed a shot of him noticing that this dude's there. Come on.
Ahead of him.
This is the problem with like splitting them in half. By the way, you shouldn't have done that. Because, like, Herbie's alive and whatnot. Because it can... oh, hang on. What's going on with that shadow? It's a square. That shadow's a square. Why is it a square? I mean, a rectangle. Come on.
And thus, Herbie is able to come in first and third in this race.
Haha, just like the first one. Nostalgia, am I right? Remember the first movie?
Actually one of the only scenes in the movie that's literally pulled straight from the original.
The only scene? No, you're wrong, because there's that scene where Hank is chasing after Herbie. No, that's not the only scene pulled out of the first one. There's also a scene at the very end that pulls from the final scene of the first one. So no, you're wrong. Sorry, dude. No, you're wrong.
But honestly, I kind of feel like it's a lot more justified in this.
It's more justified in the first one because Herbie had just been in a wreck recently, and Tennessee just did a rough welding job to like seal him back together. But the race was so rough that eventually, because the welding was so rough, Herbie just started coming apart. And yeah, that made more sense than a freaking laser that just cut through him.
In this film. So, of course, the Herbie team wins, but Horace becomes enraged and steams off to attack Herbie again. Herbie's able to pull away first, though, and
Yeah, because he's split in two and
flies off the broken dam and into the dried up
he doesn't
river.
think to break. He didn't break after he missed. Well, you can break really fast. If we saw that scene earlier, but he broke. He breaks pretty fast. So like, how did he not break before he jumped off the edge? Oh, and by the way, this is really dumb and stupid, and I love it. That seat. Hang on, let's watch this again because the CG is really bad.
So, of course, the Herbie team wins, but Horace becomes enraged and steams off to attack Herbie again. Herbie's able to pull away first, though, and Horace flies off the broken dam and into the dried up river.
This looks so bad. Oh, sad face. This is so funny. You can't be more anime than that. Herbie the Anime. 97. This you know what? This movie's immediately flawless because I have now classified it as an anime. Go watch it. Greatest movie of all time. 10 out of 10. Man. Great movie. Great movie. Really glad that, you wasted your time trying to figure out why everyone hates it. If, like, this isn't one of the reasons, because it's so over the top and stupid. Oh my god, it's so dumb. Oh, and the dude actually loved the car. Aww. Oh, but we didn't see any meaningful interaction between the two, except for like one scene that like the car just seemed to shrug off, and he seemed to like not care that it didn't care, like. But whatever. Let's cry about the evil car. Oh man, this movie is a comedy with how it's yeah, it's really bad.
But before Simon can mourn for a second longer, he suddenly stops.
Oh, I hope I don't get a copyright strike for playing that. I'm gonna insert. I'm gonna do a bunch of cuts between that, just so that I make sure that I don't get it, or at least a claim. Because that happened with one of my Pokemon Gaia videos when, spoiler alert, Twiggy dies. And I played a scene from The Phantom Menace when Qui-Gon gets killed. And the YouTube bot picked up the what's it called? The song that was in the background, and it said, we're gonna claim this and monetize it. And so now that scene is completely silent because of that. So yeah.
By the local police, who take him in for attempted murder. I'm joking. It's for a bunch of stupid minor shit.
Yeah, you don't consider that a flaw with the movie? You don't get what we don't like about this movie?
Illegal detonation of explosives, driving an unregistered devil car.
The explosives actually is, pretty big compared to like it's a pretty big deal. Yeah. As well as the trying to kill, but I'm guessing that goes with the explosives.
Illegal dumping of said devil car.
Why does no one in movies or television ever get arrested for actual obvious crimes that they have committed? Why are they always taken away from minor
Well, usually the characters are being evil within the law, except for like a few minor things, which is what they get arrested for the minor things. But you don't consider this a point against the movie because they're not arrested for, attempted murder.
technicalities? And why is calling the cops always an afterthought? You never see someone in a tricky situation just call the cops. Instead, they apparently have to win without the authorities first, and then they get to see justice.
Yeah, you don't see a problem with that? I hate it when movies do this too. But, like, you're not going to consider that a problem with the movie, are you?
Complete insanity. The final scene starts off with what looks to be the wedding of the two main characters, but is actually just a photo op for Alex's magazine with two people who kinda look like them. I think this is supposed to be
I mean, if you consider, like, brown hair to look like blonde, then sure, and her, like, slightly darker skin than the pale, Alex, I think she was called. Sure, go ahead, call it that.
a subtle jab at the end of the original film. Where the two
That's not the original film. That's the second one.
Married for a little justification other than
there you go. That's the original film.
Romances ended this way, but the film still shows its respect to the original.
Yeah, see, it also ripped off that scene. No, give it a minute. They're about to do that scene. They're about to do that scene where they ride off into the distance and they wave to the people behind them through the back window while Herbie takes the wheel.
By ending on very similar shots.
Yeah, see? Yeah.
And so that was the 1997 Love Bug reboot.
Remake? No, is it reboot? I don't remember what... No, it's not a reboot. It's a soft reboot. It's not a remake. It's a soft reboot.
Ample talent was wasted on this movie.
Yeah. It was. Why aren't... But you said you didn't see what people don't like about the movie. You said talent was wasted on it? What?
I mean, I love this film, but even as someone who grew up loving every single Herbie movie I ever came across, like they were my family, I know for a fact that it might not have deserved this much good stuff. I honestly...
What do you mean by that? It didn't have hardly any good stuff, with the exception of a couple things.
Honestly did not expect for this to be as good as it was. I thought it'd be something like watching Power Rangers, you know what I mean?
No, it's pretty bad. It's like worse than Power Rangers, I'd say.
Good for what it was, but at least a little hokey. But I love everything in this movie, I really do.
Everything, including the, you said... No, you said it works for you. You said it works for you. Never mind. Oh no, Horace's his design that's apparently flawless, with the whole you can't see out the windows thing. You love that part, I guess. And I guess you love the part where, like, the villains are arrested for not trying to murder the main characters.
I love the acting, I love the writing, I love
the writing's terrible. But if you like it, then I guess that's you. But I guess that means you must like crap movies.
There are a few lines that are funny bad, but nothing that's outright terrible and impossible.
No. There's a lot that's outright terrible, like this speech that you're showing right now.
To watch. It's a clever homage to the previous films, but
it's not clever at all. It's not clever. It's not an homage to the previous films. because it retcons every single one of them.
Also exponentially increases on the value that it has to output. Most importantly, it makes me laugh.
Yeah, it makes me laugh too, but not for the same reasons that it makes you laugh.
Laugh a lot. It is a good movie.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's terrible. It's terrible. I actually wouldn't mind having a conversation with you about this movie. Provided I hope that you watch these videos since I stuck through yours, so that you can see my takes on the movie before we actually have a conversation. But I wouldn't mind talking to you, dude. Because I'd be curious to find out like why you think it's so good. I'm legitimately curious, despite how many times I've insulted your intelligence and whatnot. I think we might be able to have a conversation.
Front to back, side to side, I have nothing else to say about this. I've already outstayed
Oh, please stop talking about it.
my welcome.
Yeah, you have.
Is all of that really true? Is my nostalgia blocking significant problems that are obvious to you but not obvious to me?
Yeah, I would say so. I would say so.
Are you considering watching this movie after my review? Be sure
No, I refuse to watch it ever again. It's terrible.
to leave your thoughts in the comment box below. Now, if you'll excuse me, I think my ride is here.
Okay, he clearly tried to lip sync that. Also, that's the living car from the third movie.
Bum bum ba-dum bum bum.
Okay, so that's it. Alright, so alright, so both videos really bad. Yeah, that's all I have to say, really. I've already overstayed my welcome. But is my nostalgia blocking my views of the previous 4 movies and the one that came after this? Despite I think that they're all still not the best movies in the world, I think they're mediocre at best. Except for this one, which I think is the absolute worst. So yeah. I actually used to think that Fully Loaded was the best one, but after after watching them like now, I think that the first one, if not the third one, is the best. But I definitely never had any thoughts about this movie when I was a kid because didn't know this movie existed. I thought I had all of the movies. But apparently one of them was only on VHS. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this video. It's not as long as the last one, despite how much longer this one was compared to the first one. But I hope you all enjoyed this. I give this a dislike. Dislike. You're darn right I disliked it. Look at how little my dislike affected this video. Man. Look at all those likes. There's 980 people who agreed with this guy. 30,000 who even bothered to watch. Wow. That's incredible. I think that's all for this video. I'm trying to think of like other videos to cover and other types of videos to do. I don't know. I don't know yet. Yeah. I'll figure something out. I'll let y'all know on Twitter or whatever. That exists. There's a link in the doobly-doop description thing. And Patreon, if you want to do that, because I don't monetize my videos, so whatever. But, yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed this video, and I guess I'll see y'all next week. Goodbye.